İyi günler Haluk Bey.
Добрий день, Oksana.
Mr. Bayraktar, thank you for agreeing to this interview. My first question would be, your UAVs Bayraktar TB2 have become a true legend of the Russian-Ukrainian war. I mean, people in Ukraine basically name their children and pets, embroider on the national clothes and sing songs. How does it feel to be the CEO of such a company?
First of all, thank you very much for this interview. Between Turkey and Ukraine, there is a high level of strategic cooperation, and unmanned aerial vehicles are one of the critical elements of it. And it dates back to 4 or 5 years back when we started cooperation in this field. And unfortunately, this aggression started, and these systems are effectively used on the field, and it became one of the popular elements to fight against and to protect your homeland and for your independence. So we actually, as a manufacturer of it and as a friend of Ukraine, we are proud that Bayraktar TB2 are one of the symbols, and we are trying to show our best technical support for Ukrainians and for the military to get the most out of these systems for them to be effective.
Just a couple of days ago, you met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Could you please reveal some details of this meeting and whether there were any negotiations?
The living meeting was very warm. It was very fruitful, I think, and it was in such a critical time. And Turkey actually is trying his best to establish, to stop this and to establish peace. And so in that manner, I think it was fruitful. There was some agreements actually for Turkey's support on the restoration of Ukraine. And so it was in a very warm environment, and I think it was very effective. And I wish it helps for Ukraine as well for the peace and for the upcoming period. So Turkey, in that manner, it was really an effective and a very good meeting, actually.
Mr. Bayraktar, are you personally satisfied with the work of Bayraktar TB2 in Ukraine? How do Ukrainian soldiers use them, and maybe you see something can be improved?
Unmanned aerial systems, and they are force multipliers on the field. They really help the users to have 24-hour situational awareness and for long endurance surveillance. So they support the activities of the field, and these systems in the case of Ukraine, before the war we have trained Ukrainian operators, so they are effectively using them, and I am following it from the media as well. And as far as I see, they are effectively used and benefited. And of course, these technologies are high-end, and depending on the feedback from the field, they are improved continuously. So we can easily say that the Ukrainian operators are doing their best and performing very well with their skills to use the systems, actually.
Have I understood right? You receive some feedback from our army, yes?
We as Baykar, for years, giving technical support to Ukraine. It didn't start with the war. It was years before. We have established a local company there. We have our technical staff supporting and to keep the fleet alive. And if there's any technical problem, to support with it and to maintain the systems. In that regard, there is always a continuous. This is the same with Turkey as well. I mean, there is always a continuous feedback and development mechanisms. And as you know, Bayraktar TB2 before has been effectively used in not only in Turkey and other sides of the world, in Azerbaijan, in northern Syria, in other countries, and it has a lot of experience on different arenas. So a lot of feedbacks and updates on the system. So it's resistant to many adverse effects on the field. in that regard, but still every environment has its own dynamics, and you really need to keep to update with the system so that they are running.
Baykar company's orders are planned for 3 years, and you currently cooperate with more than 2,000 countries. Did the war in Ukraine affect production?
Bayraktar TB2, wherever it is deployed, it has really proven itself on the field. It supported the operations and gave the results. So it's, when you look at its performance cost ratio, it's a really high-end system. And when you look at the specific cases, it really played very critical roles. So it was already a well-known system in the world. But of course, in the case of Ukraine, especially, this war actually, the war is on the European continent. So on the European side, it really raised awareness more, and it attracted attention actually on the specifically on the European side, and also UAVs before were kind of thought to be effective technologies in asymmetric warfare. But now, in the case of Ukraine is facing such a big aggression on conventional style war. So these systems, these technologies, it once again showed that even in such cases, all countries actually has a need to protect their homeland and sovereignty for such technologies, actually.
How do you personally assess the possibility of an aggressor country obtaining the production technology of such level?
We as Baykar, we have been for years investing in Turkey and also cooperating as well with Ukraine on these technologies, and these are living organisms, and it takes long years to come up for such strategic assets to come up effective solutions. We have been investing for more than about 20 years right now. It takes years of investing in the research and manufacturing to come up with such technologies, and these technologies are not available very easily on the market. For example, Turkey, before Turkey wanted to buy them from other countries, from US and Israel, we faced a lot of difficulties. So they were not selling us with our money these products, but then we ended up delivering our own country and our brother nations like Ukraine these technologies in the utmost manner. And in Ukraine, it was a similar case. In Ukraine, in the year of 2018, Ukraine wanted to procure armed unmanned aerial systems. No country except Turkey accepted to cooperate with Ukraine on these technologies. And so the use of Bayraktar TB2 and the results that you see right now, it dates back to 4 or 5 years back when we started this cooperation, actually.
If we can say your drones are a little bit Ukrainian, I mean, some details in unmanned aerial vehicles are from our manufacturers. Could you please explain for a Ukrainian audience, especially for those who do not understand much in technical details, what is it about? What actually details are?
So, first of all, Turkey and Ukraine have a strategic level relationship. There is a strategic council high-level strategic council between our countries since 2011. And between Turkey and Ukraine, the cooperation in the field of aerospace and defense speeded up after Bayraktar TB2 entering the inventory of Ukraine. So it is a model where both sides benefit, where both sides really create independent source of supply chains and create self-sufficiency. We have a plant project in Ukraine, which started years back when President Zelensky visited Baykar in the year of 2019 August. There was a trip of President Zelensky to Turkey, and in that trip he visited Baykar, where at the same time, at that moment, we had Ukrainian operators being trained in Turkey. He greeted them in our facilities, and he visited our facilities as well. And when he saw the infrastructure here, he asked us to embark on a planned project in Ukraine where we would do not only manufacturing but also research of these technologies as well. And since then we started this project, and it is moving on. In that regard, Ukraine is one of the few countries in the world who has capability of manufacturing turbine engines. And in our strategic level unmanned systems, as our countries have this close cooperation, we decided to use Ukrainian engines in our products, especially on Akıncı. Akıncı is a strategic level system. Akıncı made its first flight with a Ukrainian engine. And we have delivered Akıncı unmanned systems to Turkish military, which were equipped by Ukrainian engines. And now we are working on an unmanned fighter technology named Kızıl Elma. And Kızıl Elma is as well equipped with Ukrainian engine as well. So it's between our countries is such a relationship that really gives its results and benefits both sides. We have a plan of this establishing this plant in Ukraine where especially imagine unmanned fighter like Kızıl Elma. It's a new generation, and it's the future of military aerospace.
Our ambassador to Turkey announced the construction. Could you please reveal some details? What are your plans? Did the war make its adjustments?
The plan was started actually when President Zelensky visited Baykar. At that moment, we decided to do it. And since then, we are working on it. So we are working the design process of the plant, its layout, and also we bought a land where this factory will be built on. We as well started the official applications to make it happen. And also in February 2022, there was a high-level visit of our President Erdogan to Kiev, and at that visit, two big agreements were signed. One of them was free trade agreement, and that agreement was actually a significant facilitator of this plan as well. To make this happen, this agreement was really critical, and it was signed on 3 February before the war. Then the war started, but our plans are still active and running, and we are keeping our work and keeping our deadlines for it. So it is moving on actually.
Thanks to UAVs Bayraktar TB2, we have seen a real phenomenon. I mean, ordinary people, not just governments of states, fundraising money on a short notice. Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine have already done it. And you generously offered them for free. How did you make this decision and why?
It was also really surprising for us to see donations in Ukraine, in Lithuania, in Poland, and now it is running in Latvia. So people from all over the world, not only in Ukraine, trying to support Ukraine and trying to support its war against its aggression and for its independence. We as Baykar, with our staff and everyone, actually wanted to be part of it. Because we as company have our own principles, and in such bad times, we as well have our responsibility as a company, as human beings, to support and do his best for Ukraine. And in that regard, in all of these campaigns, which started with Lithuania, we made a decision that we will not receive the funds that is collected. We will guide these funds to be used for humanitarian projects for Ukraine, for Ukrainian people, and we will give this UAVs free. So we have a lot of friends in Ukraine, and we know how full of life they are. in our last trip to Lviv, I have seen it also once again very clearly.
Have you been following the news where Ukraine spent all this saved money?
I follow it from the media. Lithuania campaign. They tell about it, how they use the money, and then for the Ukraine, the Prytula Foundation, they collected a big amount of funds, and we offered them we will give you free. And now Prytula Foundation declared that they use the money to buy a satellite, imaging satellite, to support Ukraine. So we follow it as you do from the media, actually. So we do our responsibility by attending this fund, by donating our armed UAVs, and the funds, they take their decision and to use it for the sake of Ukraine, actually.
Çok teşekkürler Haluk Bey. It was a pleasure to talk with you, and I would like personally to thank you for your position, for what you're doing for Ukrainian people.
Thank you, dear Oksana, for this interview, and we always wish and pray for a lasting peace and a just resolution and for Ukraine.
May peace be in Ukraine. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, Haluk Bey.
Thank you. Bye-bye.